Hello, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Allie.
Hi, I'm Alyssa.
Our project is on the introduction of two Ohio House bills, 322 and 327. These bills have been linked to anti-critical race theory, which if passed, will inhibit constructive and engaging conversations in the classroom. We as educators need to understand the legislation because in the case of these bills, if we're found guilty of opposing them, our licenses could be revoked. Before we get into the bills, we must first ask ourselves, what is CRT? This is a long definition. However, what we can take away is the true meaning of CRT from the creator and identify the intent that has been skewed. CRT is the practice of interrogating the role of race and racism in society. It's an evolving and malleable practice that critiques how the social construction of race and institutionalized racism relegates people of color to the bottom tiers. It also recognizes that racism is not a bygone relic of the past. The issue here is that the assumption is that CRT aims to attack individuals for being racist. However, the idea behind CRT is that we are challenging the system and the society we live in from being racist, and I don't believe that's wrong. Here we see a protest in Columbus from those who oppose CRT. There have been demonstrations and protests around Ohio that have regarded CRT as harmful and meant to indoctrinate students, to divide them by race. However, if we never have the conversations about the harmful nature of racism, how do we ever hope to get past it? Government legislation can be complex and hard to understand for those who don't read or write bills, which is the majority of educators. So what we need to make sure of is that we can pick up on the key wording in bills to minimize backlash if we go against it.
House Bill 322 applies to K through 12 public school districts and has some specific messaging in it that goes back to the anti-CRT idea that we are indoctrinating students. This rhetoric was taken straight from the bill. What we see is that we aren't allowed to teach the idea that one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex. The question this begs to ask is, what about slavery? How are Southern white people not deemed inherently superior? How can we not ask the question that there are lingering factors of slavery still apparent in today's society that go back to times of radical inequality? Another line that an individual shouldn't feel discomfort because of their race. However, what this bill fails to look at is the idea that every race has its discomforts. We can look to the idea of cognitive dissonance, or the mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. People tend to seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions, so this conflict causes feelings of unease or discomfort. But to seek new knowledge will lead to cognitive dissonance, so to ignore any information that is contradictory to the beliefs we hold, we can never advance, nor can our students. House Bill 327 is for K through 12 as well, but also includes colleges. This bill is against teaching divisive concepts. This is the same idea, that one group is inherently superior to another. If we go back to our lesson on the Precious Knowledge documentary, we can see the same type of action being displayed. Those who oppose CRT claim it's what is inherently racist.
What we'd like to offer to contrary belief is that if we don't promote difficult and enlightening discussions about race and answer difficult questions about inherent superiority, our students are doomed to remain stagnant in the idea that there isn't racism in our country. Those who are under the impression that CRT is racist think that by allowing these conversations in our classroom, we're promoting the idea that races should be divided, that one race is above another. This is the complete opposite of the true meaning of CRT. Next, we have a statement from an article taken from Miami University about the introduction of these bills. It states that having these different places to interrogate what we call reality means that we can start seeing different facets of that reality. How do we become more educated if we don't open our minds to new possibilities? How can we really advance as a society and as people if we aren't having conversations and looking critically at ideals that are harmful to our society? We must understand that if we're educators who believe in the values that CRT represents, we need to be educated on these bills. We need to understand the wording, stay up to date with movements in the Department of Education, and be involved. Read articles, attend House meetings, understand what the words written in the bill entail for our livelihood. The bottom line is that we need to continually educate ourselves as we educate our students. At the end of the day, we want what's best for our students. If having these meaningful yet hard conversations about race in our country is something that we hold value in, then we need to be informed, but we need to advocate for our ideals.
Thank you very much.